Tony is and has been a versatile Marist. He has accepted and adapted to change throughout his life. Tony has been a primary school teacher and principal, a teacher of secondary and senior classes. He has worked in the city, in isolated rural communities and in boarding schools. He has been the leader of small and large communities of brothers. He has ministered in Melanesia, coached myriad sporting teams and accompanied men in their final days of life. No wonder he is taking some time now to consider his future life direction. Tony's early life was marked by a degree of struggle and hardship. His father John was absent often. His mother Edna had long periods of illness, and he was cared for by aunts and uncles, and was then enrolled at St Joseph's, Hunters Hill, as a boarding student for his secondary school. As an only child, he had no brothers or sisters with whom to share the challenges. In a sense, he had no choice but to embrace and master the skill of adapting to different circumstances. He enjoyed boarding school and was inspired by the brothers he experienced there and the ones he'd known earlier at Marcel and Randwick. In a real sense, Tony found a stable home when he joined the brothers in January 1966. He reflects that the 18 months of his postulancy and novitiate at Mittagong were among the happiest times of his life. He enjoyed the novelty of farm work and the companionship of the 40 other young men with whom he found himself. It was a unique experience. Like many of his era, Tony had just a single year of teacher training at Dundas, but that did not hinder him from embarking on a very rich teaching career that continued until the end of last year. It probably also provided him with the determination to continue study and develop his qualifications. In the years that followed, he completed a Certificate of Counselling, Certificate of Leadership, Diploma of Teaching, Graduate Diploma of Religious Studies, Bachelor of Education, Master of Pastoral Studies. I'm not sure we got the time to do all those things. All of these were completed, mostly part-time, to equip him to be more effective in his ministry. The young, energetic, hard-working and malleable Tony was an excellent choice to be a member of the staff and community at the New Skill in Canberra in its first full year of operation on the Pearce site. The archives will show a photograph of a fine group of 5 brothers striding towards the camera in homicide style, for those of you who are old enough to remember that Australian TV program. In these years, Tony learned much about teaching and community life from men such as Crispin, Cormac, Mark May, John O'Brien, Phil Slattery. He took these skills and with them, at the age of 29, was appointed as principal of Benedict Junior at Lidcombe. There he enjoyed 8 very satisfying years. It was a happy time in his life where he enjoyed the students, the families, and was well supported by the brothers, particularly Frank Fay, who became a mentor and close friend right after Frank's death in 2000. Tony has a marvellous capacity to make close friendships and to maintain them over many years. His warm, accepting personality, his desire to know people well, his generosity and kindness mean that people enjoy his company and value his friendship. And he has valued the friendship he has made with colleagues and staff, students and their parents, and brothers with whom he's lived. Some of his closest friends are here today, who will be celebrating this milestone with him elsewhere. In the 10 years following his departure from Lidcombe, Tony embraced diversity. He moved into secondary teaching, spent several years in Melanesia at Tenaroo and Kaururu, had his first taste of life in far north Queensland at Cairns, and completed some further tertiary study while caring for boarders at SJC. In fact, St Joseph's has been his second home. Apart from his high schooling days, he has been on the staff there on 3 separate occasions, in the 80s, 90s and 2000s, and in all has spent 24 years there. Tony has been well supported by his extended family, notably his dear Aunt Amy, who was like a mother to him, and his cousins here in Brisbane, the Webbs, who are with us today. A special time in Tony's journey was the 4 years he spent as principal of Ginger Aporta, the Catholic school in the Indigenous community of Santa Teresa outside Alice Springs. These were challenging years, but very rewarding. He learned much from the local community, from the brothers, and also about his own strength and resilience. In 2005, he returned to St Joseph's and spent the next 10 years there as teacher, particularly of senior studies of religion, which he most enjoyed, as sports coach, notably of rowing, rugby and athletics, and as boarding supervisor. For his last 6 years there, he was the community leader, and this called forth in him a new set of skills because he was responsible for a largely aged community. He was well assisted by nurses and carers, but needed to provide pastoral care for the men, especially those who were frail, ill or dying. He was privileged to accompany a good number of these men on their final journeys. Men such as Amy, Wilfred, John Mullins, Francis Donnelly, Vince Lenihan, Michael Norton, Peter Strew, to name but a few. As a community leader, Tony has been encouraging, accepting, friendly and reliable. In fact, this has been his demeanour in the positions he has occupied and the places he's lived. In his own words, "My life has been rich and fulfilling, especially in my ministries. All have left a deep impression on me." Some advice: always say yes to any experience that comes your way. Think positively about life and look for ways to live each day with that attitude. Be prepared to put yourself out and go the extra mile, whatever the challenge presented. Congratulations, Tony.